Hey everyone, so this week, since there's no Arrow and no Flash, I decided to take the time to talk about another great show that I've been watching, The End of the Effing World, from Channel 4, but it's distributed on Netflix, I'm guessing, and other places outside of England. And this show is amazing. I watched it 2 years ago, season 1, and season 2 is finally here, and I am very excited to talk about it. I just finished it. So let's get into it. Alex Lothar and Jessica Bardem return as James and Alyssa, respectively, in The End of the Effing World Season 2. Now, I don't want to get too much into the details of what the season is about. It's kind of better to just experience it. But the general gist is this season takes place 2 years after the events of Season 1, and we see James and Alyssa dealing with the ramifications of what happened last season and see them dealing with some new threats. And this, well, first of all, End of the Effing World came out of nowhere when I first watched season 1. I was just scrolling through Netflix and I looked at the description like, you know what? This sounds pretty crazy. I think I'm gonna check it out. And I was blown away. Amazing storytelling, great performances, really, really strong writing. I was wrapped up in it so much. And it's also crazy. So I was really excited to see what they were gonna bring in season 2. Also because season 1 ended on a cliffhanger, a really crazy cliffhanger. So I was really wondering how they were gonna continue the story from there. And I was really surprised. This season, I believe, was more emotional, more suspenseful. It had so much more weight to it. And it was also a more contained story, but it was still able to pull off such an amazing season. So I'm really excited to talk about it. Things I liked. First of all, this season came out 2 years after the original. And so when I first heard it came back, I was both excited but also worried because I was like, wait a minute, what happened last season? And so I watched some recap videos before just to like refresh my memory. But then when I started watching, I was happy to find that they actually do a pretty good job of reminding you what happened in the last season, but without being too annoying about it. And they do also add some new elements to the things that happened in the last season. So there's more going on just besides the recap part, you know, like they do a pretty good job of reminding you about the important things you need to know going into the season, but it's not in a way that's really in your face. And I really, really appreciated that. Although this season relies heavily on some of the plot points from the last season, you don't have to know every single detail. There's only a few major events that you would have to remember in order to keep up with this season. But again, it's not hard because the last season and this season are both pretty short. It's 8 episodes that are like 20-ish to 30-ish minutes long. So it's really not hard to catch up anyway. But even still, I really appreciated that it was kind of built in. The whole recap thing was built into the season, so you wouldn't have to go back and try to figure out what you have to remember to go into the season. Another thing that I thought was really great was the emotional beats of this season. We see James and Elsa going through some really crazy stuff, but also really dealing with the trauma and the events of the last season. And we see how it's affected them both individually and together as friends, as lovers, as whatever you want to call them. I feel like I really got to know these characters. They're very complex. And that's not just for them too. Like all the characters in this season, the main 3 being James, Alyssa, and a new addition, Bonnie, who I won't say too much about. I'll leave that as a surprise. But I felt like these 3 characters were given so much development, and you really saw each of their perspectives, and you saw the different things that they're dealing with mentally. The season was very psychological. You saw a lot about the mental health of these characters. You saw what traumas they had to go through. You saw what made them the people they are now, what doubts they have about themselves, what makes them do the things they do, what motivates them. Like you really just got to know these characters like all the way around. So by the end, I was really invested. I really cared about these characters, which I already did before, but still, I was really rooting for these characters, and I was really, really hoping for them to make it out of whatever situation they were in, or for them to just get their lives together, because they've been through so much. I thought the tension they were able to build in this season was really good. There were some moments like that in season 1 where you didn't know if they were going to survive certain situations, and I think this season really doubled down on that stuff, especially with the antagonist. They had you on the edge of your seat the whole time. When you see them cross paths with James and Alyssa, you're like, oh, this is bad. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if they're going to make it out of this one. And last but not least, this was also really funny. End of the Effing World has really dark humor, and it's really funny to see Alyssa and James interact with each other and other people. Alyssa's very snarky. She's not good at expressing her emotions, really, how she feels. And James is just this awkward, nerdy kid who you could tell has a little bit of a screw loose here and there, but they both ultimately mean well, and to see them try and make amends with each other and to really work with the people around them, it's really interesting to see how they just approach the world. And it's even funnier too when they're in a dangerous situation, but they still find a way to be sarcastic, be awkward. Like they're still themselves, even in these dangerous situations. So I think that just adds extra amount of humor to it. Again, no spoilers, but I think this is definitely a season you want to watch, a show you want to watch. Great characters, really, really strong storytelling. There's suspense, there's dark humor, and there's just a lot of heart. And it also looks really great. This was a super cinematic looking show. So if you really are into filmmaking, this is definitely a show I think you should study and look at because it just does so well with color and lighting, all that stuff. The verdict. I think the end of the effing world season 2 is solid. Definitely check this one out. It's very short. If you haven't watched the show at all, start from season 1 very fast. You could probably knock it out in a week. Very short, but it's definitely worth it. So, have you seen the end of the effing world season 2? What did you think? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.